Next week, the world's leading climate scientists are due to publish their latest findings on how quickly our planet is warming. And tonight, there's ample evidence of the increasing frequency of extreme weather events. Wildfires, often started by human hand but fueled by baking heat, are tearing through forests around the globe. In the Yakut area of northeastern Siberia, more than 4.2 million hectares of forests have burned this year alone. The smoke has travelled as far as the North Pole and driven record carbon emissions. Here in Europe, Greece, which recorded its highest ever temperature this week, has battled more than 150 wildfires in recent days. Villages were evacuated on the island of Evia, whilst scores of homes have been burned in the suburbs of Athens. And on the Italian island of Sicily, firefighters have been tackling 40 fires in the provinces of Palermo and Messina, with flames fanned by strong winds and temperatures of 42 degrees Celsius. In the United States, Californians have grown used to wildfires, but the destruction caused by this year's blazes has been remarkable. Thousands have left their homes as two fast-moving fires continue to raze homes and businesses. Here's Simon Brown.
Look at this Ace Hardware here. Look at this Ace Hardware.
This family video is from a small town in a big state. Just over 1,000 Californians lived in this sleepy outpost.
Over there is the Pioneer Cafe and Bar.
And this is it now. The Dixie Fire raging across this part of California has made a small town a ghost town. The only sound of life is from the crackle of flames and wind. The inhabitants here are America's newest climate refugees. An entire town has been swallowed, and its remaining bones are still burning. The fire's insatiable appetite for devastation shows no sign of stopping. It has been active for 22 days and devoured 322,000 acres of land.
My heart is just aching for what people are dealing with up there right now, and so many other places. Tennant, Colfax, over in Trinity, Siskiyou, but we lost Greenville tonight, and there's just not words for how us and government haven't been able to get the job done.
Here, firefighters have been up against strong winds combining with warm temperatures that increase the risk of fire, a danger that is becoming more acute in this part of America.
We have been through a decade where we've been at or above some of the warmest temperatures that we've seen in our observed record. And here in California, that extends back to 1896. In 2014 and 15, we set new records for an annual temperature, and since then have been right there at that warmest edge.
But California is past the edge of crisis. And as dystopian pictures like this become more dominant, a shift may be happening on the right of American politics.
The real question is not how are we going to respond today, but this situation is going to get worse. We're going to see more fires. We're going to see more destruction. It is becoming a political imperative. My view is that in time, in large part because the US government has a $28 trillion deficit right now, we will have to move into this phase where we not only incentivize good behavior, but also begin to limit bad behavior.
It's not just emissions that are going up. The urgency for climate action is rising too. On Monday, the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is poised to deliver its first major report in 8 years with a stark warning. This is a satellite picture of a warming planet. From space, Earth is crying out for help.
Well, triggered by soaring temperatures, the wildfires afflicting Turkey are the worst in the country's history. 8 people have died and thousands have been evacuated from their homes, with fires burning in an area more than 3 times bigger than in an average year. Here's our Foreign Affairs correspondent, Jonathan Rugman.
Where the forest meets the sea, there is fire. The heat from the flames here along the Turkish coast is the most intense ever recorded. The helicopter couldn't put it out, this man says. Amid temperatures over 40 degrees Celsius, and winds so strong that they have reignited fires previously brought under control. Last night, those fires reached the compound of a power plant, forcing its workers to evacuate. Though this morning, Turkish helicopters, along with a Spanish plane, extinguished the flames. President Erdogan met some of those affected along the coast last weekend. His usual mantra of jingoistic self-sufficiency has been compromised by being forced to accept foreign aid.
8. günde bu çalışmaları sürdürürken
He's an increasingly unpopular president, last night claiming from his 1,000-room palace that the fires were the biggest ever. Yet he's now so powerful that escaping the blame is that much harder.
sirayet etmeden
Much of this Aegean coastline votes for the opposition anyway, and now its residents are furious at the government's admission that its own firefighting planes were badly maintained and unfit for service. Volunteers have armed themselves with fire extinguishers, and while arson or human error probably lit these flames, as they do every year, the scorching heat of climate change seems to have made this the worst year in living memory. In the village of Mazi, near Bodrum, eyewitnesses say the fire moved from trees to gas cylinders to parked cars and then buildings. Gizem Orhan ran a hostel and tried saving it with buckets of seawater.
Gerçekten derin üzüntü içerisindeyim.
I'm so sad, she says, because you can replace your belongings, but growing trees could take more than my lifetime.
Hayvanlar var.
Government officials have abandoned attempts to blame Kurdish militants for deliberately causing this disaster, which has displaced tens of thousands and left 8 people dead. And the long-term fear is that some of these pine forests will not be replaced, because last week the Turkish president approved a law allowing him to change their status in favour of tourism and economic development. The government denies it, but fires intensified by climate change could be the precursor for rampant construction along this endangered coast.